napakasimple yung pagpababa ng presyo ng bigas eh. Sinubsidize ng NFA. Bili mahal, benta mura. So kung yung gusto talaga ni Bongbong ng 20, ang dali lang yun. Kaya nagkanda utang-utang na 150 billion NFA.
Mr. Chair,
Na-achieve naman yung 20. 18 pa nga eh.
by then, the former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr., and he put it there because he saw the potentials that we will have food crises now. And it is so fitting that the new president is the son, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos, has already committed to putting more budget in this. And so I would like to move, with the chair's permission, that this committee put forward adequate budget.
Before we start though, it turns out a good amount of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but it also very much appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Secretary. I'm very hopeful right now that you're the secretary. I'll be able to send a message because we've been talking about increase of production na irrigation in terms of rice, Mr. Secretary, equipments or mechanization, and all others. But we did not touch soil testing, which I think is the very, very important thing before we start in agriculture. Now, I hope, Mr. Secretary, you can look at the soil slab that we have, the regional soil slab. Because in my investigations, they're dysfunctional. Pero ang report dito sa national, they're all okay. So the province of Agusan del Sur will invest for the latest modern laboratories. By next year, tatapusin na po. Because our problem with our soil slab is our people, mali yung method. I think there's something, it's something that you have to look to. The method of our soil analysis and the kind of equipment that we have in our soil slab. And at hindi ako naniniwala because puro rapid test kit, Mr. Secretary. It's kalokohan. Sinusuka na po ng farmers ang rapid test kit. So, I hope I can have time with you soon so I can give you a briefer because I have the technical backup. By December 6 to December 12, we will be in Australia, in Griffith University. I hope you can send some of your technical people who will have a better understanding what soil science is all about so that we can increase our yield. In fact, in Agusan del Sur, meron na po kaming trials na ginawa from 3.8 tons sa very masamang soil, no? Pit soil pa, na with the soil test-based fertilization program na ginamit, umakyat po siya ng 5.6. And we did 2 croppings already. And we're planning to do 6 croppings para meron tayong scientific basis talaga with the data. So I hope, Mr. Secretary, you can look into this and hopefully I can meet you because I have the people behind who can help the department as a whole to increase our yield in all problem soils in our country in terms of rice production and corn. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
I
thank you
think,
very much, Honorable
Mr. Chair,
Edibong Plaza. Yes, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Our Congressman Plaza hasn't mentioned the Bureau of Soils that we've talked about, especially that is important. Maybe a 30-second.
Bureau of Soils and Water Management is not doing their job. And their method is Jurassic. And if somebody goes to the labs of a BSWM right now, central office, magpapakuha ng soil testing, soil slab results, hindi ka panipanawala yung magiging results. So ineffective yung ating fertilizer vouchers kasi hindi naman pala yun ang kailangan ng ating farmers sa lupa na yon. Luckily, Isabela, Nueva Ecija, magagandang lupa yan kasi ang yield nila. So in Agusan del Sur, masama, we're targeting 7 tons per hectare in bad acidic soils.
So yung program.
Yung soil health program, all other Asian nations have their strategic soil health program in Vietnam, Thailand, so on and so forth. Tayo, wala pa po tayo niyan. Puro table ang ginawa. Puro physical ang ginawa. Wala pong testing. Because I think if we need to cap them, DSWM, so be it, so that we get a proper fertilization program. I'm not against industrial. I'm not against biofertilizer. I'm not against organic. As long as we prescribe the right fertilizer for that particular soil in that particular municipality or province.
Yes.
Less cost, higher yield, better income for the farmers.
Yes, thank you. Just to add briefly, Sec, I've had the wonderful opportunity to join the Honorable Eddie Bong Plaza
Yes.
to learn from Australia. So we're very hopeful to discuss this with you further in the
Nakalimutan
near
ko pa
future.
pala. Australia and the Philippine government signed an agreement, memorandum of understanding, to help map up the Philippine soil health strategy in the country. So, but the budget hindi po sa DA, doon po nilagay sa DOST, because this is going to be a research base. But your department has a research-based bureau, which is Bureau of Agricultural Research. I hope bigyan niyo po ng pagkakataon maka-on board. Because kami sa Agusan del Sur, we're already doing trials, field trials, and hopefully you can assist so that we can really come up with the right procedure or the method of for the soils analysis. Para lang po blood test, Mr. Secretary. After blood testing, bibigyan ka na ng gamot. It's basically the same as with soil, since soil is life.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you,
and
Honorable
Mr.
Eddie Bong
Secretary. Thank you.
Plaza. Of course, we'd like to acknowledge the presence of our celebrity congressman, Deputy Majority Leader Richard Gomez. Welcome. Thank you very much. We now move on to the last member to ask questions, the Honorable Bambi Emano.
Yeah,
Please keep it brief.
Yeah, it will be very brief. I was requesting Kong Plaza, Mr. Chair, that if I would be given 30 seconds, but he did not afford me, and because he brought me to Griffith University, so I yielded to the good gentleman, Mr. Chair. Very short, Mr. Chair. Earlier, the Congressman Joey mentioned about one of the reasons that we are not able to fish anymore to our seas because of the high fuel prices, sir, as the Secretary had answered. Do you still have the program where you give vouchers to fisher folk for fuel?
Attorney Escoto.
Yeah, for subsidy.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we have a
At a
program.
tune of how much for 2023?
Yes, we have
At a tune of how much, sir? 30 seconds only, sir. We have to be fast.
500 million, sir.
500 million.
Apo.
And the newly appointed secretary, the 500 million, will we continue it for next year, or should we invest it in culture, aquaculture?
Kung akong tatanungin niyo, Your Honor, aquaculture.
So we better study, Mr. Chair, because earlier I was listening and we want to invest in aquaculture. And if the rice voucher is not working, then we should realign it to aquaculture, Mr. Chair. That's first. Second, as I was looking at the report, Mr. Chair, Mr. Secretary, mentioned were rice, corn. Actually, I'm from Misamis Oriental, and we are the fourth largest corn producer in the whole country. And mentioned also was about pork and chicken and egg. May we know why beef was not mentioned in the sheep or goat, mutton, shabon, Mr. Chair?
Your Honor, when we were asked to present, it actually specified what are the major topics we should present today, and that was not part of the total request. But just to give you an update, siguro, on your question.
No, can we, Mr. Chair and Mr. Secretary, I was only given 30 seconds. Can you put it in writing so I'll be able to ask it again during the next
Yes, sir.
hearing?
Yes, Your Honor.
And lastly, Mr. Chair, could you, agriculture is about foresight, and I am myself is an agriculturist. I took up agriculture in college. I majored in animal science. It's about foresight. Do you foresee anything from livestock to high valued crops nakukulangin na naman tayo sa December or first quarter of next year? You
Yes.
may not answer it right now because earlier you said you're 10 days in office, but I will be asking it during the next hearing, Mr. Chair. So those the sheep, the goat, the mutton, the shibon, and hopefully maybe even rabbit meat, and of course what you foresee as a challenge that we will be having, so that we will be able to prepare also. I am from the islands of Mindanao, Mr. Secretary. So maybe kung anong kukulangin dito sa Luzon, we can already actually work with the local government to prepare kung baka kaya namin i-produce ang kailangan nyo sa for NCR. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you very
And
much.
I'll excuse myself, Mr. Secretary.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Bambi Mano. Anyway, alam po natin nagmamadali. In writing, may I request Director Glenn to submit in writing the issue of the delay in the certification of certified seeds that delays the planting season of farmers. So can I get a write-up on that, please? At saka,
Yes, sir, will do.
as I asked before, Asik Arnel, yung sa imports, hindi natin nakaka-categorize yung rice, ano? So baka may system tayo because it turns out walang well-milled na ini-import. Wala tayong data on that. So kaya nagkagulo tayo dito dahil doon sa raid maraming supply pero puro special and premium rice pala yung nandyan na in stock. So napakamahal, ano? So at least we are guided properly. The secretary, of course, in terms of how we could do some intervention para hindi na mangyaring itong rice crisis natin na to.
Anyway, so sa rice, ala na tayong problema. Just going by your numbers, the supply is bigger than demand. Arnold, can you answer that?
Mr. Chair, yes, we confirm that our supply is larger than our demand as shown in the slides as provided, Mr. Chair.
But it includes 2.8 million metric tons of imports.
We confirm, Mr. Chair.
So ano yung import mo next year?
For next year, Mr. Chair, normally it will depend po doon sa performance this year.
Tag-AIM ka ba?
Yes po.
Kasi it depends. Ang sagot.
Yes po, Mr. Chair. Studied.
Hindi nga. Ano yung tansya mo?
Ang tansya po namin next year, Mr. Chair, is about 3 million metric tons.
So parehas din.
A little over po ng...
Na-order mo na?
As per RTL, Mr. Chair, this is upon the submission of application. Very open po tayo, Mr. Chair, to our rice.
So yung indicative importation is done by the private sector?
Yes, Mr. Chair, as per...
So
the
wala
Rice
na
Directive.
yung National Food Council?
The National Food Authority, Mr. Chair, as
No,
per
Food
RTL.
Council, National Rice, NRFC. Alam mo yun? Ano ba yun? Yung before? There was a National Rice. No, sir. It is almost like a task force which sets whether how much do we need to import every year. Wala ba sa RTL na kung sino magsiset kung hanggang saan ang imports mo?
Wala pong limit. Liberalize po tayo, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, but at least somebody should set the indicative. So you will have what? A cobweb over import, non-import. So you keep seeing price movements that deter or encourage over importation or under importation. So I don't know. Yes, sir.
Your Honor,
Yes,
yun
Kiko.
nga yung issue ko ngayon sa with this eh. I actually asked sa the Bureau of Plant Industry kung ilan ba yung pending na application ng rice. Lumalabas, sinabi sa akin, for importation, 1 million tons. Sabi ko, kailan na-issue yan? Marami doon na-issue from time to time kasi liberalize nga. Sabi ko, kailan na-import yan? Wala rin makasagot sa importer. So we met I asked somebody to meet the importers. Sabi ko sa kanila, pag hindi nyo import yan, within 30 days, hindi kayo mabili ng PO, kakancelin ko lahat yan. Because I don't want to be held hostage by, permits that were issued to them upon their request. Diba? So, then wala rin ho akong alam na nagsiset ngayon kung ano dapat ang import volumes.
No, at least yung estimate. Kasi
Well,
before,
last year, sir, based on import data, it's about 3.8 million metric tons na import. This year we're only up to 2.7. So,
yeah, but the total imported last year was only 2.8.
no, 3.8 ho.
Ah.
But that was
This is your report.
Uh,
2.855.
that is
This is the current year, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, this year.
This year po.
2020. I'm sorry. So, bumaba ng 1 million.
1 million.
So, walang price impact.
Mr. Chair, we're expecting po ngayon ng
Alam mo, panahon ni
Record
Presidente
harvest.
Gloria, napakasimple yung pagpababa ng presyo ng bigas eh. Sinubsidize ng NFA. Bili mahal, benta mura. So kung yung gusto talaga ni Bongbong ng 20, ang dali lang yun. Kaya nagkanda utang-utang na 150 billion ang NFA.
Mr. Chair,
Na-achieve naman yung 20. 18 pa nga eh. Hindi, sinasabi ko lang yan as a matter of
Mr.
Oh,
Chair, can I clarify lang?
strategic framework.
Because I think Congressman
Yes.
Salceda, the NFAs no longer have the power to do that. And
Yeah,
that's
that's
one of the bills
precisely
that
the
we want
point.
to do.
Yun ang point ko. Then we can set up a subsidy fund for it. If there's no NFA, then somebody can do it. If he wants 20 pesos. It's not impossible. That's what I'm saying. Si Presidente Gloria just import. Import ka lang ng import. Pag 30 yan, benta mo ng 18. Tigod, di 18. So, ay ang problema kasi, napapasok tayo sa mga komplikasyon na hindi naman natin kailangan gawin. Pero ito, siguro, dahil kumikita tayo dito ng 17 billion, tama ba, Dator? Doon ang gagaling pera mo eh.
Yes, Mr. Chair. In fact, almost 17 billion yung
17.
nakolekta. Yes.
Kasi may monitor namin sa customs eh. So, ang makukuha mo doon, magkano?
On the part of RCEP po ay 10 billion po. And the rest po, ito po yung...
Ano yan? Republic of Pilmec ka ba?
yes, sir. Pilmek po.
Per Republic ka ba? Kanino ka kumukuha ng desisyon kung saan mo pamimigay yung mga machine na yan?
Sir, kami po ay nagbabalidate sa ating mga
Ba't ikaw?
nationwide.
Bakit hindi itong BPI? Ba't
We-
ikaw?
Under the law po, ang Pilmek po ang natasan
So,
with regards to
palitan pa namin
mechanization
ang batas na yan.
component.
Di ba sabi kanina ni gusto niya malaman kung alin ang mga cooperative ang matinot hindi. Meron ka bang ganon?
Yes, sir. Actually po, ang ating pong beneficiaries under the program are farmers cooperatives and association.
Paano mo alam na matino?
Based on the result po ng ating validation, we rank them accordingly.
Kasi pagbibigyan na lang kita pero ang sinasabi ko, duty mo ba yan?
Under the law po,
Are you being held to a certain standard like you have to produce 17 million metric tons of palay? And what is your contribution to it?
on the part of Pilmek po, with regards to
Mali pa nga eh.
mechanization, we
Yeah.
are providing machines po and ang purpose po nito
So
ay
what is your
mapababa po yung
contribution?
gastusin.
So what is your contribution in terms of reduction in post-harvest losses?
Yes, sir. Mapababa po yung gastusin ng ating mga farmers at the same time, mapataas po yung ani.
So mga magkano po? Kung
We're expecting po by 2 to 3 pesos po ang reduction ng per kilogram ng ating po mga
Ang
farmers.
problema, since RTL, pumutok ang presyo, so imaginary yung 3 pesos mo. Tama? Huwag ka ganun lang ako mabait ako.
Yes, sir.
Gusto ko lang madali kasing sagot para makita ko talaga So in total, magkano in magnitude? So 3 pesos times 17 million. So nakapagdagdag ka ng 3 times 17, 51 billion. Tama ba?
Mr. Chair, yung pong 17 billion
10 billion lang po yung sa RCEP. Because
Yung 17 million metric tons times 3 pesos savings in post-harvest equals 51 billion in savings. Yun ang sinasabi ko. So, ibig sabihin dapat buusan pa kita ng pera. Tama ba yun?
yes sir, actually po yung aming coverage po with regards dun sa
Anyway,
pondo.
isa lang ang gusto ko okay na ako sa
Thank you po.
Arnel, pasiguraduhin mo na you should import proactively ha. Huwag yung puputokan na naman tayo dahil ito si Panganiban din nagbigay ng PSIC. Ilan ba nilagay yung PSIC? May indicative ba doon sa program mo? Hindi nga, open nga.
Yes, sir.
Nakalagay ba doon indicative
Sir, what do you mean indicative?
na up to 3 million?
Wala, sir. Ganong total, sir, tayo. Since...
So hindi ka nagbibigay ng signal sa merkado kung hanggang saan sila pwede mag-import?
Sa ngayon po, sir.
Totally blind sila. So ibig sabihin may full information ng markets.
Sir, yun naman pong ating mga importation and volume, sir. Nasa, ano naman, nasa website naman natin, sir.
Kaya nga, pero in terms of 2024, pwede ka ba magsabi ng katulad nung we are soliciting bids for PSIC of up to 4 million. Bawal ba yun?
Sir, wala po tayong ganong mechanism.
Ang problema ko, kung mag-over-import ka, di bagsak presyo. Pag mag-under-import ka naman, putok presyo. So sino sisisihin? Si secretary na naman. So ang sinasabi ko, basta may 3 million, wala tayong problema sa presyo ng bigas. Tama ba?
Yes, sir. Apo.
Okay. Pagdating naman sa corn, we are already structurally deficient by 732,000 metric tons.
Mr. Chair,
Is it the goal of DA to cure 732,000 metric tons through higher slope irrigation? More than 15 degrees?
Mr. Chair, for corn, yung data presented ay wala pa po yung import for fourth quarter. So if we are expecting po na importation for corn of about 332,000
So 1
for
million,
yellow corn.
so 1 million metric tons ang natin. Kasi 732 without fourth quarter plus 300, the fourth quarter equals 1 million.
Ang mangyari po, Mr. Chair, pag pumasok po yung 332 ng yellow corn plus feed wheat na 690,000.
Kaya nga, this 1 million.
Yes po, magiging 310,000
I-cure
po.
nyo ba? I-cure nyo pa ba yan? O surrender na lang tayo?
Parating naman po to. We're expecting
No,
na
I'm
darating
saying is corn self-sufficiency a goal of the DA?
still our aspiration po, Mr. Chair.
Dali naman i-goal to eh.
Yes po.
Out of 18% arable land, only 8% is irrigated. So anong maging problema mo diyan kung i-target mo yung irrigation at saka yung provision ng inputs? Anyway, so sayang naman. So because it affects your poultry sector, your
Yes,
livestock sector, right?
that's correct, Mr. Chair. Input po sa feeds ng ating livestock industry ang yellow corn, especially.
Nasasaktan pa rin ba kayo ng Ukraine? Yung presyo?
Yes po, karamihan pa rin po kasi ng wheat ay nanggagaling ng Ukraine. So may
Okay.
epekto pa rin po yun kahit pa paano, Mr. Chair.
So sa onion, obviously, na-cure na natin. So,
Yes, sir.
sabi ni hindi lalampas ng 140, sabi ni Secretary.
Sir, yun po yung existing po ngayon na price,
So-
current price.
Papaputol ko ulo mo pag hindi mo yan naabutan.
Sir, we'll make sure na meron po tayong supply, sir.
Yung PSIC mo, ilan naman ang nakalagay doon?
I'm sorry, sir?
Pakilabas mo nga yung computer mo, tingnan mo kung ilan ang nag-apply ng PSIC sa'yo.
Hey, check it out.
Kala ko ba digitalized na ang gobyerno?
Yes,
So
sir.
dapat automatic, may
ah.
sagot ka sa akin.
Sir, for the yellow onion, sir, we have a total of 491 issued and used na 350.
Ilan lahat?
350.
Ilan ang delivery ngayong lean months.
Ang actual, sir, na volume na nag-arrive is 16,807 metric tons.
16,100 metric tons imports.
Apa.
So last year, 27,000.
Apa.
So yan cold storage na.
Yung iba po ay naka-cold storage, yung iba po ay nasa market.
So dito sa raw sugar, wala tayong problema. So you under mo ba yan? Hindi, no? May Republic,
ano,
may,
ASEC, Arnel? Oh. But you had the report, diba? ASEC, no?
yeah, so is sugar Republic of Sugar also? Just like Wilmec, Republic of.
No, Mr. Chair, SRA reports.
So you have any guidance over this SRA?
SRA reports directly po, Mr. Chair, to our secretary, Mr. Chair.
Reports?
Being the head.
Pag pinatawag niya, pupunta ba yun?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So, subukan mo nga bukas.
The secretary heads
Punta na
po
nga
yung-
pumunta yan.
Your-
So, doon na tayo sa refined sugar. Nakalagay din dito, wala nang issue. 85 pesos max. Hindi na 100. Still, we will be in the top 2/3 high prices of the world. We're higher than. Kasi before, we are number 3. Hong Kong, what is the second? Singapore, and number 3 is Philippines at 105. So now we're probably gonna lower. But you say here, you only have an imports of 79,000 and you have a surplus of 248,000, which is available for this year, 2024. This year na kasi ako, 2024. Okay? So no problems, sugar. So hindi rin puputok lampas 85 to. Maganda na yun. At least ma-assure natin. Sa chicken, oversupply. Sabi ng Ubra, 77 na lang daw ang benta sa norte.
Can you, yes, ASEC, can you please turn your mic on?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we have oversupply po for chicken.
Okay. Sa fish, doon tayo malaki deficit. Structural deficit.
Attorney Escoto, baka you want to
Yes, Your
respond.
Honor. But we have the DA authorized importation for 35,000.
May CON ka niyan? Makakarating ba yan ng ano? Merkado?
Yes, sir.
O makakarating lang yan sa ano?
Yes, sir.
Sa mga kaning?
Yeah, actually, sir, there are
Sino nag-issue ng CON? Ikaw?
DA, sir.
CNI, Certificate of Need to Import.
Yes, the Department of Agriculture, sir, through the recommendation of the National Fisheries and Aquatic Resource Management Council.
National Sea, may ganun, para sa rice, may ganun din dapat, di ba? Eh, ito ang isda, meron yan, pang malaki, wala. Naman, sir, meron yan. Hanapin nyo lang. May mga nakatago yan. Ano yung presidential decree, Christian, na kahit anong isda, basta ang langisda ay Filipino vessel, Presidential Decree 1075, Presidential Decree 504, na any fish caught by a Philippine registered vessel is considered domestic.
Yes, sir.
Do you consider that in this?
Yes, sir.
Talaga?
Yes, sir.
So, ibig sabihin, ito nakalagay mo sa fish, negative 359,000 deficit. So, ginutob na lang natin yung mga tao. Yung ba ang lalabas dito?
Actually, sir, we have two types of importation.
Hindi, no.
Yeah.
Huwag mo na akong guluhin. Basta may 359,000 unfilled demand. Ibig sabihin, hindi mo pinakain yung mga tao gusto ng isda.
Yes, sir. Actually, sir, that is based, sir, on the PSA data, but we are trying to validate the.
So,
accuracy of the
do you
data.
subscribe that there is either a stock or the supply is always equal to demand? Sir. Kiko, yung mga
Your
bata
Honor,
mo.
Secretary Kiko.
may I
Are you
answer
trying to rescue your people?
that? No, I'm just
Okay,
trying
you are
From my experience, sir, I want to relay my thoughts on this particular issue on fish. In my opinion, the fish resources of our country is actually depleted. We have to save whatever we have in order to Anyway, it's resilient. It will come back. Tama ho yung may mga stoppages tayo na ginagawa. Like now, it's from November to January for Palawan, di ba? Then Zamboanga area will be from December to February. But we need to import nga, kagaya na sinabi nyo. But the importation na binigay ng National Farms in a figure of 35,000 tons this year,
Walang-wala.
it's not enough.
Yeah, because you recorded
But then
359,000.
yung 359,000 naman na yun is we are forced to use that data because that's the official PSA data.
Kala ka ba babalik mo yung bar?
9 days pa lang ho ako, sir. 10 days pa lang sa opisina. At,
Is under the law creating PSA, move the bar to the PSA?
the BAS ho, the Bureau
The BAS, yes.
Yeah, nandito po lahat at wala na
So,
kaming nata.
May
So-
authority bang secretary to create?
No, I don't have the authority, sir, and I think that will be an act of Congress. But immediately lang, what I
Pwede-
will do is,
Pwede ba yung special provision na lang? Pwede may habol sa GAA? Pwede ba?
but it,
So, Mr. Chair, since you're very strong with the chairman of APRO, you better put that, insert that. The senior deputy, OA. So sa pork, wala din tayong problema, no? Halos. Ang problema lang dito kung ano presyo. Ano yung presyo nito? Bagsak, taas?
Ang presyo po natin sa pork ay 280 pesos po ngayong araw.
Mahal ba yun?
Actually, nung mga nakalipas na araw po, 290. So, stable po yung presyo natin.
Bakit hindi lumilipat sa chicken kung 77 na lang ang chicken? Mas versatile ang chicken kasi. Ay, ang pork
mas popular ho talaga ang pork eh.
po.
Mas popular, Your Honor, mas popular talaga ang pork.
So chicken is oversupply. There's a surplus. So fisheries sector, very, very negative. So okay nga yan eh. So fish talaga paulit-ulit lumalabas dito, negative 359,000. So so Mr. Secretary, how do you deal with that? You mean to say you deprive the people of fish?
No. Your
It's
Honor,
just another number.
Your Honor, another factor that affected the fish production this year is fuel prices. Commercial fishermen and even the municipal fishermen that tumaas sa sobrang taas. Since last year ho yan, when the Ukraine war started, doble ang presyo ng fuel. So maraming fleet talaga na tumabi na lang eh. Tumabi earlier. Kung medyo mahina na yung nakikita sa dagat, tatabi na yan eh. Usually we stop sa commercial dati on November, but now September humihinto na yung iba eh. Because parang siguradong lugi lang eh. So that
Pero
affects
apparently in the entire Asia, sir, tayo na lang ang nagdedepende sa extractives kaysa sa culture.
that is the solution, sir, actually, is to promote
So Iskoto is
aquaculture and
here, is from
agriculture.
Bicol, is in my
Are of course aware na nagkaroon tayo ng problema, nagkaroon ng pagbagsak, drop in our local production, rice, corn, sugar, etc. So agriculture in general, no? Of course, maraming reasons yan why we are lagging behind in domestic agricultural production and why we have become a net importer of agricultural products. Whereas before 1995, the Philippines was an exporter of agricultural products. Starting nung 1995, no, bumagsak na yung ating local production, no? At yun nga, we are relying more on importation. Of course, many reasons yan, ano? And baka it will take too long to dissect lahat ng reasons. Pero now that we have a new Secretary of Agriculture, I suggest that we also look into the aspect of the effect of the devolution of agricultural functions from DA to local governments. I have nothing against devolution. I came from the local government all my political life. I spent that in local government, no, as mayor, as governor. So I will be the first to champion yung devolution. But maybe we can also review the effect of devolution of agricultural functions from DA to local governments, no? After more than 30 years of the effectivity of the local government code, no? Kasi we have to admit, may mga local government officials, local government executives na hindi priority ang agriculture, no? Either they do not understand or talagang wala, no? So they rely more on DA. Nag-aantay sila ng ibibigay ng DA, whether binhi, fertilizer, or whatever. Walang sariling programa ang maraming local governments, ano? Mga mayors. And I believe may epekto yan sa ating total production. No? Nung ako ay mayor, no, modesty aside, and governor, meron akong sariling programa sa agriculture. I do not rely on DA. I do not rely on funding from DA. Binabudgetan ko talaga yan sa local government fund or what we call the 20% development fund. No, I do not rely sa pondo ng DA. Pero we have to admit also maraming local chief executives nag-aantay lamang ng darating from DA. Walang initiative. And I believe that has an effect in the level of domestic production. So maybe we can also review. No, I request the secretary to look into that also. Kasi fragmented no? May ibang mga mayors mas priority siguro, mga festival, mga concert, ano, mga parties. So may epekto 'yan, no? I'm not referring to anybody, in general 'yon. Kasi ang apektado po niyan ang ating domestic production. Maybe it's time to review yung policy na 'yan. Pwede ba magkaroon kayo ng control sa extension uli? Kasi extension workers under ng LGU. So kung hindi priority ng mayor at governor yung agriculture, walang budget ng extension work. Walang sufficient funding for travel expenses. How can they go to the fields kung walang travel, di ba? So please look into that. Ano kaya ang pwede ba magkaroon kayo ng administrative control or operational control sa mga extension workers? I'm stating this from the perspective of a former local government official. That's all, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you very much, Honorable Arnan Panaligan. May we get a response from Secretary Laurel?
Your Honors, I agree ho with your opinion na sana hindi na devolve yung agriculture extension workers sa LGU. In my past career, basically I need everybody from top to the foot soldier, diba? Now I'm left with officers and no foot soldiers. So yes, please, kung pwedeng, we should look into it, sir. Thank you.
Parang puro general or colonel, wala kayong mga sargento and private, ano? Yun ang nangyari. So, but of course, alam ko madugo yan. Yung we cannot reverse yung devolution. Ako, bilang local government official for 27 years, parang hindi rin ako pabor dyan. Pero maybe we can find a mechanism para magkaroon ng some operational control ang DA sa ating extension workers. Kasi mahalaga ang extension work in promoting agricultural productivity.
Yes, is there any follow-up response from the good
Your
secretary?
Honor, yun yung pinag-iisipan ko for the last 1 month kung paano ko makontrol sila even if they are devolved. So the team is figuring it out, sir. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Kong Arnan. Anyway, very interesting topic. I think this committee had the chance to discuss the renationalization. I don't know if someone had filed the same bill, but it's a good topic to discuss in the coming days. May I acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Bambi Emano. Ganda umaga, salamat. At this point, we
Mr.
now...
Chair.
Yes, the Honorable Deputy Speaker.
May we
Bambi.
ask the committee chair, committee COMSEC to at least look into this. If there are no bills filed to renationalize this, then it is high time that this committee, particularly yourself, will even file as principal author to renationalize them so that we can have an army for the secretary to implement this very important food security of our country, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you very much, Deputy Speaker Tony Pet. COMSEC, may we please request if you could please review all the referrals to this committee and look into the bills relative to the renationalization of agriculture. So may I now recognize the Honorable Ambrosio Cruz.
Masyado. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, balit lang, maiksi lang. Yung reported na production natin is about 4 tons, which is in terms of cabans about 80. Now, if we can increase it to 5 tons, which is about 100, immediately we're talking of 25% improvement in terms of production. What you're saying, apat yung factor para ma-improve yung productivity, which is basically number one, irrigation, and probably yung mechanization na parati nating pinag-uusapan dito. At at the end of the day, ang tinitingnan namin dito, kasi pag tiningnan mo sa Korea and even Japan, ang major player po doon, Mr. Secretary, yung cooperative. Ang cooperative ang nagpataas ng yield, ang cooperative nagpataas ng production, ang cooperative nag-improve ng marketing. So, ang aking nakikita rito ay kailangan yung creation ng cooperative, basically, at the local level, should be mandatory. Even probably kahit na ito on a situ level. Para lang mag-improve talaga. Yun ang kailangan natin, economies of scale. Kasi at the end of the day, hindi po pwede. Actually, yung land reform, nagpalalaho ng problema natin. Ano ba nangyari dito? Kasi na-divide yung mga area into 1 hectare, 2 hectares. So na-defeat yung economies of scale. And the only way to counteract that is the creation of cooperative. Ang dapat po ngayon, talagang magkaroon ng concentration on the part of the DA and on the part of the LGU na gawing mandatory yung cooperative at dapat wag magbibigay ng assistance kung hindi directly doon sa cooperative, especially doon sa mechanization program natin. Yun yung aking nakikitang problema. And by the time, if we can improve the production by as much as 25%, we're looking at 100 kabans per hectare, and that's a lot. But alam po niyo sa Isabela, even sa Isabela and Nueva Ecija, you're looking at 300. So pinag-uusapan dito yung 300%. Baka yung panaginip natin na mabaliktad yung sitwasyon na tayo mag-e-export, ma-realize po during your term. Yung pangalawa ho doon sa pork ano. Kasi ako ho grower ako ng San Miguel. So lahat po doon sa amin sa Bulacan, bigla na akong tumigil. Dahil because of the ASF, lahat to nahubaran eh. Ngayon, ang tanong namin, ano ba yung intervention dito? Ano ba yung bakuna? Kasi meron silang sinasabing bakuna na acceptable. Hindi ko alam kung ano to. Pero sa lahat to ngayon, sa buong Bulacan, wala na ho nagbababoy. Yun lang ho yun. Oh. Pangatlo, na isa kong concern, yun ang mga rice trader. Yung rice trader ho sa ngayon, tumigil na ho mag-import. Kasi yung threshold do natin dito sa plunder is only 1 million. Yung 1 million, isang truck lang mo yun. So sa ngayon, pag tinignan nyo yung mga rice traders sa Bulacan, wala akong may laman. So ngayon, ang sinasabi, tataas ang presyo. Mabuti, narinig ko rito na posibilidad na hindi naman ganun kataas yung presyo. Kasi lahat to nag-hedge. Kasi ang balita, 31 na yung palay. So ang expectation, naabot na 60. So lahat na ho ng may hawak niyan na yung nandun sa Isabela, nasa Tuguegarao, natural lang ho yun, nahawakan nyo para tumaas. So ang tingnan ho natin dito, kayo na nag-uusap kami ni Asi Carnel, dapat siguro ang basis ng hoarding, volume. Hindi ba? At saka yung days inventory. Kasi ilan ba yung requirement? 10 ba? 15? 30 days? Para ho sa ganun ma-establish. Pagka ho tumigil ho to mga trader na to, malaki ho problema natin. Basically, yun lang ho. At yung sa hoarding nga kasi 1 million kausap ko lahat ng rice trader. Tumigil ho lahat. Lalo na ho yung mga may kontrata sa Jollibee. Pati ang Jollibee, namumroblema ngayon, yung mga major supplier. Yun lang ho, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you very much, Kong Boy Cruz. May we get the response from the Secretary Kiko Laurel?
Yeah, Your Honor. Thank you. Tungkol sa cooperative ho, I totally agree na we have to, because of the land reform nga, kailangan natin ma-cluster yan eh. Then eventually nga maano sa maging cooperative lahat. The model of Taiwan actually is similar as us na average farm size sa Taiwan is 1 hectare eh. So the only way they were able to fix everything is talagang lahat cooperative eh. They don't want to give anything to a single farmer. Kailangan cooperative lahat dumaan. But then there's an issue on how to professionalize the cooperatives eh. Because not sa rami nating kooperatiba sa Pilipinas, may magaling, pero marami din hindi. So, but then through my study, kaya hindi meron mga cooperative na hindi magaling is because wala silang manager na may tamang sweldo at walang compensation na regular. So walang professional na nagma-manage. So that is what we need to address. How? There's several ways, no? But one idea that I have recently is parang to ask the top 1,000 corporations of the Philippines to adopt a cooperative, yung non-performing. Because one company na maayos can budget for the managers of maybe 3 cooperatives. So kung may 1,000, top 1,000, 3 cooperative ang ilalagay na ng accountant, lalagay na ng manager. So 3,000 cooperatives na yun. Diba? So it's a start. So yun ang hamon ko sa ating mga negosyante sa Pilipinas na sana pag ni-roll out natin itong programa ay sumali. Then kung yung top 1,000 successful, then yung top 3,000 itap natin. Then mako-cover na natin halos lahat. So that's one idea. Ho.
Yes, to follow up, we have 10 seconds, Pongboy.
Next, sandali lang mo to. Yung cooperative talaga, yun ang problema eh. Alam mo sa amin sa Bulacan, 13 billion na yung assets, nag-collapse pa eh. CRBB. So dito siguro dapat makialam yung LGU na sila yung maging bantay. So we have to ensure enough safeguards at the end of the day para binabantayan yung ating kooperatiba. Monitoring lang. Basically is monitoring. Pagka ho ganun, tapos meron tayong corporate na assistance, I think that's the best situation that we're looking for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pongboy. Yes, Secretary.
Your Honor, nilagay ko actually din sa listahan cooperative clusters with help of LGUs. Tama. Agree ho tayo.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we proceed, the Chair would like to acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Chair of the Committee on Aquaculture and Fisheries, the Honorable Alfredo Marañon III, and the Honorable Dashing Arlene Brosas. Thank you. So may we now recognize the Honorable Deputy Speaker, Antonio Tonipet Albano, for his questions.
Mr. Chair, wala ba akong dashing din? Mr. Chair, thank you for this time. I know that the Secretary is busy and thank you for coming, Mr. Secretary. I would like just to add what Congressman Ambrosio Cruz was saying, that we can be a rice exporter in the near future, especially with PBBM's vision to revitalize all the mechanisms to make sure that our country will have efficient farming from the post-harvest to the pre-harvest and all of the other agendas that he's put in place. And I might say, to put on record here, Mr. Chair, that he picked no less than a better man to replace him, because I have known this person, our good secretary, for a long time. He's very hardworking and he has made so many tremendous efforts to really increase the fishing exports and imports for tuna worldwide. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Chair, the problems that face the nation is truly water. When we talk of food production and export, if we do not have adequate water in this, there is nothing to plant. And you can see this worldwide, where you see Mekong, Yangtze, Danube, Nile rivers. They're the biggest rivers in their nation that created Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam's rice export, because they have adequate rice and they have fully utilized these huge water resources for irrigation. That is one of the points that I would like to stress to our new secretary. The PBBM, or the president himself, campaigned in Isabela and it promised to harness the Cagayan River, which is the largest river in the Philippines. Having said that, and we have talked about this, Mr. Secretary, if you can only harness and irrigate the Cagayan River, which spans from Vizcaya to Isabela, Quirino, Cagayan province, which are now having record harvests and underutilized irrigation for most of the farmlands, we can easily, from just Cagayan Valley already, create an export industry for rice and other crops. And so, Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask, unfortunately, the NIA is not here, Eddie Gulian, that if the good secretary is amenable to making sure that we put more money into water impounding systems, dams, that is also good for power, which is good for our country, in the Cagayan River and harness it fully well. And what is your program for that, Mr. Secretary?
Yes, may we get a response again from Secretary Laurel?
Your Honor, thank you. We will look into how to harness the Cagayan River for use in agriculture. I have not actually studied that personally, but I will look into it immediately. As far as water impounding is concerned, that is one of the main projects of NIA, through Administrator Gillian. We have discussed this in detail, and actually there's already plans. DA ho. DA, sir. No. So marami hong water impounding na areas na nakita, because importante yun dahil arami na waste na tubig eh. If we cannot impound, we're just wasting it kahit na meron tayong irrigation system eh. Diba? So yeah, well, of course, the key there is we need money to do it, and the right contractors, of course. So we'll need your support through Congress, Mr. Chair, for the future budgets for this. Ito talaga pinaka-importante. Irrigation is really key. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, the Honorable Deputy Speaker Albano.
Mr. Chair, I was fortunate to be the Vice Chair for Agriculture that defended the budget. And unfortunately, the NIA budget was even slashed. And as you know, the biggest dam in Asia at one point in time is Magat, is situated in Isabela. By then, the former President Ferdinand Marcos Sr. And he put it there because he saw the potentials that we will have food crises now. And it is so fitting that the new president is the son, Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos, has already committed to putting more budget in this. And so I would like to move, with the chair's permission, that this committee put forward adequate budget, especially that the budget hasn't finished in the Senate, for NIA, for more water impounding projects, dams, that can not only provide irrigation, but also mitigate flood control for our province, because we're always inundated every year and calamity ridden, and also a source of power, because these dams can create hydroelectric powers that are cheaper and good for the environment. And so I urge this committee, if we can come up with a resolution urging the Speaker and the Senate to increase the budget of NIA to help our Secretary build the necessary water for our food security, Mr. Chair.
Yes, thank you very much. There is a motion raised by the Honorable Tony Pet Albano to increase, to support the initiative of the leadership and the agency itself in terms of their NIA program in their budget. So, is there any second?
Mr. Chair, yeah.
Yes.
Chair,
Yes,
especially
just
that the chairman of the Ways and Means here, who can get enough funds so that I can put it in the NIA project. May we hear maybe from Congressman Salceda?
Yes.
I second.
Oh, wow. So, any objections?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, the Honorable Arlene Brosas.
Yes, Mr. Chair, is the NIA director here?
Unfortunately, he is not.
Oh, Mr. Chair, bakit tayo nagpapasa ng resolution or nagmo-motion ng resolution ng wala dito yung NIA director, Mr. Chair? So we can ask him ano-ano yung mga particular na sinasabi ng ating representative from Isabela, na ano yung mga particular na popondohan, Mr. Chair? Kasi we would like to ask that first, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, may I answer?
Yes, may we hear from Deputy Speaker Albano?
In fact, Mr. Chair, we have discussed this in the Appropriations Committee, and even in the plenary, most of our colleagues has asked why the budget of NIA is slashed. And there are already particular programs that was in place that the Director Guillen has already talked about. specifically creating all these dams that will help in the irrigation of the Cagayan Valley and others, including the second district of Agusan in Representative Plaza's districts and in other rice production areas that need, because a lot of our irrigation canals itself are already deteriorating and they're bleeding well and they cannot even irrigate some of the land, even in Central Luzon. And I know, Mr. Chair, that even if Eddie Guillen is here, the NIA director, he is already an attached agency of the secretary, and I'm sure the secretary being here can already supersede his place as NIA director, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Congresswoman Arlene?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, clarification lang kasi there was no explanation kung bakit wala dito yung yung director, Mr. Chair.
Well, just to answer the query, this is merely just a briefing on the current situation in various agricultural crops. So binabantayan natin, monitor lang naman natin yung mga supply and the consequent prices, particularly sa papasok ng itong Christmas rush natin. So and the lean months, including the lean months. So this is just a briefing, Honorable Arlene. That is why I believe that Admin Guillen was not invited,
So, Mr. Chair, hindi talaga siya in-invite?
Yes,
Or
hindi siya nakasama sa formal invitation ng committee na ito.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Yan lang naman, Mr.
Yes.
Chair, kasi parang to clarify kung ano yung mga sinasabi na popondohan or saan ilalagay or the particulars, Mr. Chair, kasi we would like to know it. For example, if it's dam, syempre meron kaming mga reservations on that. So, Mr. Chair, baka kailangan talagang pag-usapan pa kung ano-ano particular. But I do believe, di ba, sa Senate ngayon, pinag-uusapan nila kung saan ilalagay, and there are may mga propositions na, Mr. Chair, is this in line with that? Kung ano yung proposition ng House
Yes,
as of ngayon doon sa Senate?
Honorable Arlene, just to put things into perspective, ito naman ay general lang naman sentiment natin without naming any specific. So our support na matulungan yung NIA na mataasan yung kanilang budget para mapondohan yung mga pangangailangan pa nila without touching any details on it. So hindi naman natin sinasabi na At saka it is subject, of course, yung resolution will still be voted upon. So it's just a general sentiment lang yung ating expression.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair.
So being duly seconded, no objections.
Reservations,
Reservations, yes.
Yes, so
We take note of the reservations, and of course, the resolution will still be subject to the approval of the members of the body. So with that, the chair directs the committee secretary to draft the said resolution, being duly moved by the Honorable Albano and seconded by the Honorable Joey Salceda. So with that, we will now move along. But before that, the chair would like to acknowledge the presence of our former colleague who is also with the DA family, Yusek Deogracias Sabillano of Ilocos Sur, Boss DB. Oh, nice to see you again, sir. And we have, of course, our former colleague as well. Nakita ko po kanina, and the former Secretary of the Department of Agrarian Reform, the Honorable Paeng Mariano. Ayun, nandiyan pala kayo. Oo. Kung Paeng, dito po kayo. Pwede ho kayo. Dito na ho kayo. Oo, mga... Thank you po. Welcome, Kapaeng, again. Very active. So at this point, may we now recognize the Honorable Joey Salceda for his question.
Is somebody after me?
Yes.
Where is he? I'll yield. Hindi, okay. Isa-isayin ko na nga. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. We have long relationship with Provel.